Got a nice view here in Carlsbad, California. Beautiful day, and I've been riding around on some different Kalkhoff electric bikes. What we've got here is the Include 8, and this is the premium model. 8 designates an 8-speed internally geared reared hub. Really nice inner 8 Shimano Nexus. And right here you might see that there's a belt drive next to it. Gates Carbon CDX. It's got a center track so it stays aligned. Love the chain cover, just plastic fenders, pretty full length with some nice reflectors and mud flap on the rear, plastic up front too. A couple of really cool lights that are well integrated. This front one's, I especially like it. It's got kind of a bright mode right there. It's a physical switch, but they both run off the main battery pack, which is huge. It's like 36 volts, 17.75 amp hours. Really great range with something like this, in part because it has a very efficient Impulse Evo. This is 3rd generation mid-drive system. The nominal output on this is 250 watts, which sounds like, well, 250, is that enough? But it's got 100 Newton meters of torque, so it's actually very powerful and efficient. These motors are kind of like the Pawn Group, Derby Cycle Works. It's a bigger kind of holding company that has Gazelle, Kalkhoff, Focus, and some other brands. And they've kind of modified and offered some of their own parts. And so this impulse system is one I see a lot that they use. One of the things I really love about it is it has a physical shift sensor. So as you're shifting gears, the motor lets up a little bit. And you can actually adjust the sensitivity on how quickly it lets up or whether it lets up at all. There's also like a climb assist feature that says, hey, if you're climbing a hill and you're putting a lot of torque, because this is torque, cadence, and speed sensing. Torque is one of those, like how hard are they pushing? How much power should we be giving them to relieve that pressure? When you're climbing a lot, it's like you're putting a lot of energy in, and then you get to the top and you're easing off, but you don't necessarily want to slow down, so you can put on climb assist mode, and it'll kind of naturally try to help you maintain the speed. It's a neat feature. There's a lot of nuance to this thing. In addition to being a large battery pack, sort of in terms of capacity, it's also really well integrated into the frame, kind of a custom design here, and the weight is kept low and center on the bike. I've weighed the bike, I've got that back at the site, including the different sizes. It comes in like a trapeze style, this sort of mid-step, a low step, and a high step. This is one of their most popular models because it is so versatile, and it gives you kind of a balance between the range and efficiency, but also comfort. You can see up here there's an SR Sun Tour suspension fork with lockout. It's more of a city design. There's not a ton of travel. It's narrower, maybe meant to be a little bit lighter. I mentioned weight a second ago. This bike's like 59.5 pounds, at least this version of it. This is the 45 centimeter. It's the smaller one with the trapeze. I can't speak to the other models. This is what I have access to right now, but it's still, that's a lot of weight, and I think it comes from the suspension fork, which isn't air. I think this is just a coil, like a spring inside there, and the fenders and some of those other features we talked about. This is a rack time rack, nicer, kind of a name brand part, 25 kilogram max weight, and it's got these just accessories that fit right on, and they kind of help to set it up for bags or maybe racks in the back. A lot of people will just use a traditional pannier that'll clip right here, and then there's these loops at the bottom that allow you to kind of bungee in, which is nice. Or you put a kid's seat or whatever. There's just a lot of versatility. Coming back to the Inter 8, this is a neat design because you can shift at standstill. I found that if I'm climbing and shifting while riding, it doesn't necessarily shift right away. It sort of waits until the pressure's eased off, so it won't kind of grind the gears and mash. But it is nice when you're climbing a hill and you get in a higher gear and you stop at a stop sign or stoplight and you're like, oh no, I got to start from I don't want to stand up and push really hard. You can shift down while you're sitting there. In fact, I'll do this right now, just kind of shift for fun. And there's no problem. Doesn't hurt the system. Also, there's no quick release on the rear, but that's in part because everything's integrated. Because we've got a belt drive here, we don't need a chain tensioner. If the bike tips over either way, it's really protected, and this is sealed off against dirt and water and stuff. So that's nice, but also adds some weight. 160 millimeter hydraulic disc brakes from Shimano, front and rear. You need that stopping power when you have some extra weight. But again, this is a class 1 electric bike, pedal assist only, 20 miles per hour. Love the ergon grips. These are the really big ones, really comfortable. Nice adjustable angle stem, so you can bring it up and back if you're someone who likes that relaxed seating position like me. And just a nice 3-zone Comfort Plus feel. I'm not super familiar with this saddle, but I love that there's a seat post suspension built right in, and I believe this is 31.6 millimeter diameter, so you could potentially replace that with something of your own if you preferred. Just nice, again, coming back to the whole comfort thing. And then a kickstand adjustable length. So they've kind of done everything. There's a shot of the Impulse Evo, 250 watt mid-drive we were talking about a second ago. These pedals are not stock. I'm told that they're more of like a plastic platform, not folding. This is part of their demo fleet. So they put folding ones on so it's easier to move around. This is a better shot of the battery too. It's got some of their readouts. If you notice here, this is a charging port, so it can be charged on or off the bike. And they use the energy bus, sort of magnetic charger. That's really cool. So if you trip over it, it just pops right out. It transfers data as well as electricity. It's more expensive to do it this way, but it's a higher end design, and I really appreciate that. This is where you unlock the key, or the battery. So you put the key in, you twist, and then this sort of like tips out to the side. It's actually pretty easy to do, but again, looking at just the frame and stuff, that's a little bit of extra material, aluminum alloy, and that's probably part of what's adding to the weight. Here is kind of an integrated, really integrated. Before I was looking at this, some of their other bikes have it too, but it's a cafe lock, and this one's a little bit different. You put the key in, you can slide this lever down, and it puts a rod right through the spokes, so you can't move the wheel. Someone would have to physically pick up the bike and run away with it. And they could, maybe a couple people, given the almost 60-pound weight, but it's just enough to kind of secure it in front of a cafe for a quick coffee or something like that. And given how they use these bikes more as like car replacements in parts of Europe, it makes a lot of sense. Everyone's on a bike, and it's just like secure your bike real quick, dash in, dash out. It's new for me being in America, but it's kind of novel. It's something I appreciate. All the bikes from like the Pawn Holding Group, including Kalkhoff, are really refined and tested and retested in Europe, and then we kind of get like some of the more popular models end up in America, and again, that's why we're seeing this one. I believe it comes in black and white. I'm liking the white because it's a little bit more visible at night. Got that reflective quality along with those lights, and in fact, they stay on after you stop the bike just for safety. They kind of like stay lit for a while, and you can tell the bike how long. There's so many settings to go through still. So on the side of these tires, there's that reflective sidewall stripe. Schwabe Marathon, they've got performance green guards, so that's going to reduce the potential for getting flats, if you're in a kind of a weeded area. 700 by 38C, so a little bit fatter. That's going to give you some comfort, which is nice. I tend to ride a little bit further, a little bit faster on electric bikes, so I really care about comfort, and it's awesome that this kind of comes with everything. You don't have to worry about it. Yes, you're paying a little bit more, but you've kind of got all that, all the fix-ins really. I believe you get a 2-year comprehensive warranty, and that's on the drivetrain and on the bike and everything. And again, this one's like $43.99, so it is a little bit more expensive. Let's get up here to the cockpit, and I want to point out the bottle cage bosses love that. Before I get too far ahead of myself, the display is already on, but you can easily turn it off and on from this little button pad over here. This is backlit, so if it was dark, you'd see these shining, which is really nice and handy. Really easy to reach. It's one of the closest, tightest, and slimmest button pads I've seen. I can't say that for the display. It's actually pretty thick, and I saw this and I was like, are they taking a step backwards in terms of size? But it does have a little USB port in the back. Looks like a micro USB, so you could charge your own phone or whatever. I love that. And then we've got these different plugs you can plug into that just run through here. They're all integrated into the frame, so it doesn't make too much of a mess. Gotta love that. But anyway, coming back to the display, we'll go ahead and turn it on. It says Impulse, hello Seattle. This is a demo bike. You could have it say hello Court, that's my name, or whatever you wanted. Hello goodbye might be a fun choice. Up here we've got a battery level kind of a infographic, and there's also battery percentage, I believe, as you scroll through the options, but it's just there's like no bars. It's just really fine. It's really dynamic, and I like that. And then inside, see it says 49 miles. That's estimating my range based on the level of assist. I'm on the lowest level right now, eco. If I shift up to like sport, now it goes down to 35 estimated miles, power 22, and ultra 11. So that's cool. They're really making good use of the space. I like the display readouts on this quite a bit. That's a power level gauge. Like as you're pedaling, it tells you how much power the bike is producing. Speed and miles per hour, but very easy to change it to kilometers per hour. trip time, trip distance, and then if we press set down here, a whole bunch more. We got trip max speed, trip average speed, tour, which is like your odometer, I think, and then like the tour, like all-time average speed, cadence, and then overall distance. A little bit of different language again because this is European, sort of like the Netherlands inspired, but neat nonetheless. Awesome feedback. If we hold set for a couple seconds, it's going to enter into this crazy like main menu area. So ride data, delete trip data, delete tour data, settings. Let's go into settings. So I'm just arrowing down and pressing set. Device settings, personalized, miscellaneous. Into device settings, display, you can change the backlighting, personalize, you can name it. There's really a lot in here. Miscellaneous, you can go back to factory settings. Lots of options, including the climate assist and stuff I was talking about. And it's all pretty easy to access and deal with. Sometimes it's like a real mystery how to get stuff done with e-bikes, but not on this one. I feel like, yeah, it's just a good trade-off. It's more refined. And I'm holding the plus button right now, and it activated walk mode. So that's what you might do if you don't want to push your 60-pound bike up the hill. You just hold that plus button and walk with your friend. You know, you don't have to worry about how fast it's going or whatever. It tries to mimic a normal person's walking speed, which I have no idea how fast that is, but I think it's kind of cool. And then the other really cool thing about this latest like generation of e-bikes from Kalkhoff and Focus is that they have Bluetooth app integration. So I was going to pull my smartphone out. I downloaded this app just a few minutes ago. I'm not super familiar with it, but it seems pretty cool. It's really just like a GPS integration. Okay, so I'm going to pull it up. Let's see. And it beeped. Did you hear the bike beep there a second ago? Because it said, hey, we recognize your app. So right now I've actually gone in and found a location on the map. You can see that. And I said, I want to go over there. So it shows my current my current location, and then it shows my destination. It's actually going to give me turn-by-turn feedback apparently over here. See how it says navigation? There's some sharing. So I was joking around with these guys. It's like, yeah, you can share a route. Like if I ride to the store and I'm like, hey friend, meet me at the store, and they're like, I'm at your house, and I'm just gonna like send them the route to the store so they can join me, which I think is kind of neat, you know. Maybe you can race your ghost and stuff. Again, a little bit new to me. I think it's nice that you can do the USB charging of your phone because GPS takes up a lot of battery power, you know, and just having your phone maybe mounted to the cockpit could start to get kind of busy up here, as you can see, if I was mounting this. But again, just very comfortable. I'm sitting upright, I'm comfortable, and I can hear the motor a little bit. I'm in sport right now. A little bit more pronounced, kind of a rubbing kind of sound going on. You know, now we have Bosch, we have Bros, and we also have Yamaha. Impulse to me has always been like a little bit more like sensitive feeling, like softer, efficient, 250 watt output, right? But that 100 Newton meters, maybe that's why it's a little bit louder right now. Go all the way up to ultra. Oh, now you really hear it. I'm trying to do this GPS thing. I'm gonna pull over real quick. Just get this thing, baby, going. Hey, let's see, plan route. I don't know, it might have timed out on me. I'm not really sure, but I do think it's neat that you can share the route, and it's actually fairly, let's see, current position, calculate, and just, I guess, go, start navigation.
You have
the route.
reached the target.
Oh, I've reached the target because I'm at the destination already. Interesting. Oh, look, now it says you're right there. So let's see, let's hold this down. Centering in 30 seconds. Well, I don't want to waste too much time. You know, I like to do this stuff on the fly because you get real-time feedback. The app's pretty simple, and it's just about navigation. All the rest of the settings seem to be at least accessible through this main display, which is cool. With that, I'm gonna pedal again, this time in like a higher gear. I'm gonna shift up. Let's see. And we're gonna try to show you how responsive the motor is. That is, when I'm pedaling, again, it's measuring speed of the wheel, my cranks, and the torque, how hard I'm pedaling. I feel like there's a little bit of a delay when I stop pedaling on this bike, and so I just want to share that. Not as much power when we were starting as I was hoping for, but that's because I'm in a higher gear too. So to really maximize range on one of these bikes, you want to shift gears, lower gear to start, higher gear when you're in the higher speed range. I've just been going like 10, 12 miles per hour here. Shift down. Okay, I've got the Include here. You can see the belt drive and then the chain cover. Unfortunately, you're not going to be able to see that chain ring, but just look for movement down there. Listen. I'm going to start off in eco mode. It's the quietest, it's the gentlest, and then we're going to go up from there, and I'm going to do some shifting. You can listen for shift sensing as well. Doing all right. Go ahead and take it up to ultra now. Now it's quiet, it's smooth. There's a little bit of delay when I stop pedaling, and there's that intentional delay when I shift. So, it's kind of working as expected. And even though we can't see it, it's nice to have that chain guard there, or rather chain cover, just to keep things clean. Now I'm going to point you towards the rear, and we're going to do some shifting. So right now, I'm in level 6. I just shifted all the way down to 1, and I'm going to start off and, see what happened. Did take a little bit of pedaling. I had to pedal a couple rotations and then delay, but it did shift down once I'd done that. And that's kind of the beauty of internally geared hubs. Some seem to be better where you shift and it's like instantaneously in the correct gear. You think about like the new Vinci, like the Harmony system, or they have kind of continuously variable transmission, so it's actually shifting real time, whereas this one, it seems like it puts in the order and then with a little bit of rotation it shifts, which is more like a traditional derailleur. But in any case, I was going to go ahead and pedal a little bit more. One thing I've noticed is that because this calculates torque, I can pedal just really gently and not activate the motor if I want. And that's kind of nice. Just keep my pedals moving, and then the harder I push, the more power I have back. It's not a perfectly linear relationship. It seems a little bit more like no power and then medium or high power, but at least it's there. You get more feedback that way, more control. Pedaling really gently right now. Even though I'm on ultra, the motor's not kicking in. Made a couple shifts, and that's why the motor stopped. There's our max speed right there, 20 miles per hour. Pretty good. Yeah, I appreciate a lot of the finer touch points on these Kalkhoff bikes, and just the heritage, kind of the European, it's just fine-tuned. Like, they work really well. There's so much to talk about, and the comfort is there. And for me, that's a big deal. Like, if I'm commuting regularly, I want to stay dry. I want to feel safe. And with the automatic lights, here, I'm going to show you that. I've stopped. The lights are still there. Even if I go ahead and turn the bike off, parking lights, 14 seconds, 13 seconds, that's what I'm talking about. They're still on. And that way, if I'm at the side of a road, like locking my bike, people might not hit me as easily. They might know, oh, there's a biker there, instead of just completely dark. And this is way beyond a lot of other companies that don't even have lights. So, you know, you're paying a little bit more, definitely a little bit more weight on this, but it's a sweet bike. Apologize for some of the meandering and experimentation along the way, real time with the app. I think it's cool, and I'm going to spend some more time with it for the other reviews. For the full write-up on this, including sizes and other specs, I'll see you back at ElectricBikeReview.com. And if you have this bike, if you have some feedback or maybe something that I've missed, feel free to chime in. I welcome the feedback, always trying to get better at this. And of course, while you're out there, have fun, ride safe.